no matter how you slice it, Amir Khan last night fighting Chris Algieri, I was at the fight for the better opponent. Frankie Gavin was stopped, TKO stoppage, 6th round. Kell Brook was just way too big, way too strong. And this is just 9 weeks after Kell Brook's last fight against Ionut Dan. So a lot of fans are giving Kell Brook a lot of shit because it's like, oh, what are you fighting this bum for? I don't call fighters bums anymore, but what I will say is this. Stay busy, fight. He's going to be back sometime in the early to late fall, fighting a name like Brandon Rios, maybe, highly unlikely, Keith Thurman, or, you know, a big name welterweight. Almost like the way Top Rank does their fights. No, excuse me, Al Heyman does his fights. To whereas he'll have one of his fighters now fighting 3 times a year, like a Keith Thurman who fought a Robert Guerrero, now fighting a Luis Collazo, and later on this year he's going to have a big fight. The card was pretty actually good. It was on Sky Sports box office. Of course, over here in the United States, we don't have it. And I thought Showtime was going to actually be picking up this fight. I can understand why they didn't. But at the same time, Kell Brook needs more exposure in the United States. So now we bring ourselves to the question of, why is Amir Khan versus Kell Brook still not happening? With Amir Khan's performance last night against Chris Algieri, that may have damaged his chances, even though it was a tough fight, and Chris Algieri was out of the cage, he was uncaged. Still, it wasn't an impressive enough win once again to be able to get Mayweather. Remember when he beat Luis Collazo, fans was like, okay, Luis Collazo. Devin Alexander, okay, all right, Devin Alexander. And now Chris Algieri in a fight where Chris Algieri was a major underdog. Now you got people talking about, well, I'm going to go back and watch the fight upside down in super high definition and to see if Chris Algieri won. By the way, I'm TstreeT Controversy with RealCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Like I said, like sometimes I honestly think that maybe it's the promoter in me speaking when I say, okay, all right, this is a good stay busy fight for a Kell Brook, and also Frankie Gavin was a mandatory challenger. So if it wasn't Timothy Bradley versus Jesse Vargas, if I'm correct, it was going to be Timothy Bradley versus Frankie Gavin. I forgot, or vice versa with Jesse Vargas versus something like that. So this fight didn't just come out of nowhere. He's got a mandatory defense out of the way. Not really much to talk about. I mean, if you ain't seen my Amir Khan video, I pretty much summed everything up, you know, because this fight actually went exactly how I thought it was going to go, you know, even though I like to give some fighters the benefit of the doubt. But Frankie Gavin just was in, you know, he just was in over his head. And Kell Brook was just too strong, too big. Now, here's the thing. What about Floyd Mayweather versus Kell Brook? You still got Kell Brook that has the IBF title, and it would be a big international fight if Kell Brook comes over here. And he did get the knockout, you know, in a fight where he was supposed to get the knockout. Amir Khan didn't. So, you know, it's tough. But Eddie Hearn at the post-fight interview, he pretty much knows, you know, that Kell Brook has no chance of getting Mayweather, and also Kell Brook will lose to Mayweather via movement and ring generalship. Just my personal opinion. But I keep my videos under 5 minutes long for the next week or so, until I get my voice fully back. It's been literally almost a month now, like 28 days. So I will say I'm TstreeT Controversy with RealCombatMedia.com, and I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe.